right, so I got 4 here on the couch, and I got 3 here on the phone.
Hello.
Hi. And 3 here. Yeah. We all
Imagine standing at a grocery store, staring at your receipt, and suddenly feeling a sinking pit in your stomach. You realize that the candidate you've been posting about and supporting for months actually stands for policies that hurt the community you live in. You weren't lied to by a stranger, you were misled by your own feed, by viral clips that were designed to make you feel angry rather than informed. Research suggests that first-time and newer voters aged 18 to 22 enrolled in colleges should prioritize rigorous fact-checking and independent evidence over emotional rhetoric when evaluating political candidates because it significantly reduces the likelihood of experiencing post-vote regret and protects voters from being manipulated by fear-based tactics that exploit a lack of critical inquiry. Asking questions. You should care about this because your vote determines the policies that will shape your education costs, your job market, and your future for years to come. As a fellow student who has navigated the same overwhelming sea of social media information and political noise, I've spent the last few months analyzing how we consume information and why our generation is specifically targeted by these digital manipulation strategies. Today, I will explain why this shift to active fact-checking is vital. First, by looking at how misinformation leads to regret, and second, by examining how we can break free from fear-based manipulation. So my first point, reducing post-vote regret. Prioritizing fact-based inquiry is the only way to avoid the deep satisfaction of post-vote regret. Many of us rely on shortcuts, like viral TikToks or Facebook posts, to make our decisions, but these rarely provide the full picture. Redlowski and Lau's book, How Voters Decide, 2006, which that in conjunction with Cambridge University, emphasizes that this environment makes it incredibly difficult to search for high-quality information, leading us to favor the easiest answers rather than the right one. When we don't verify the facts, we set ourselves up for disappointment. As Navigator Research 2026 found in recent focus groups, voters who failed to look past campaign rhetoric often ended up feeling duped, realizing only after the election that their vote did not align with their actual needs. Point number 2, protecting against fear-based manipulation. Second, rigorous analysis protects you from being treated like a pawn by fear-based tactics. Political influencers and campaigns often use inflammatory language to trigger an instant emotional reaction. If you do not have a healthy amount of skepticism and question the evidence, you become a target for these strategies designed to bypass your critical thinking. By choosing evidence over emotional talk, you build a shield against manipulation. Ball et al. 2018 demonstrates that the gap between a voter's chosen option and their true preference is significantly wider when information is based on incomplete, fear-driven narratives. To visualize this, I'm going to show you figure 1 from a study from Ball, Blaze, and Lasser, 2018, maps out the utility gap. The bottom axis is the horizontal line representing the utility difference, so the gap between the candidate you picked and the candidate who would have been the best match for you. The gap widens as the line goes to the right. This is your regret. It goes from very good to fairly bad. So as the gap between who would have been your ideal candidate increases, so does your regret. The more likely you are to feel bad about your decision, the more your vote fails to match your actual preference, the more likely you are to feel bad about your decision later. By fact-checking and researching your politician's plans and claims, you're essentially working to keep that gap as small as possible. The graph clearly shows that when we act on incomplete information, the distance between our ideal choice and our actual vote grows, which directly results in higher levels of regret. By verifying our facts, we shrink that gap and make a choice that actually represents us. So just to restate, in conclusion, research suggests that first-time and newer voters aged 18 to 22 enrolled in college should prioritize rigorous fact-checking and independent evidence analysis over emotional rhetoric when evaluating political candidates because it significantly reduces the likelihood of experiencing post-vote regret and protects voters from being manipulated by fear-based tactics that exploit a lack of critical inquiry. We've discussed how fact-checking serves as your insurance against post-vote regret and why active evidence-based inquiry is your best defense against fear-based manipulation. My challenge to you is simple. The next time you see a political post that makes you feel instantly angry or terrified, search that claim and not the person. Before you share, take 2 minutes to look for that claim on a nonpartisan site like Ballotpedia or factcheck.org, and always look for hard and clear evidence for the claims that are made. Don't let an algorithm decide your future. Take control, verify the facts, and make sure your voice is heard with confidence. Thank you.